The husband who rebuilt his life after his wife cheated with a coworker and took down her new man without throwing a single punch. Ever had your woman look you dead in the eye and say, "I'd pick him over you," while you're busting your ass to keep her world from sinking? Picture this. You're out there bleeding, sweat, cash, whatever it takes, and she's sipping drinks on your dime, laughing with some slick punk who wouldn't last a round in your ring. What if she's right? Not because you're less, but because you let her forget who the hell you are. This ain't about losing her, bros. It's about losing you. And that's where this story kicks off. A freight train ready to slam through your chest. What's good, fam? It's Alpha Talk, your boy's back in the saddle, and this one's gonna hit you square in the gut. We're diving into a dude who owned his life like a king, let it slip through his fingers for a hot minute, then snatched it back with both hands, harder, sharper, unbreakable. This isn't some fairy tale crap with roses and violins. It's betrayal, grit, and a rise that'll make you feel it in your bones. Buckle up, because we're rolling deep. Meet Vince, 35 years old, ex-bad boy turned gearhead, scars on his knuckles, and a pit bull named Rex riding shotgun. He's not your Hollywood pretty boy, face pockmarked from teenage acne that never quit, jaw like a brick, eyes that don't flinch. But his vibe? Pure fire. Magnetic in a way that doesn't beg for attention, it just takes it. Back in the day, he was the guy girls couldn't peel their eyes off, not because he was smooth, but because he didn't give a damn. Now he's got a ring on his finger, a garage stacked with tools, and a wife who's starting to drift. He went from ruling the streets to a married man teetering on the edge of a slow crumble. But here's the kicker. He flipped the script, and she never saw it coming. Rewind the tape a sec. Picture Vince at 18, leather jacket slung over his shoulder, smirking at a house party while girls orbit him like moths to a flame. Cheap beer in one hand, cigarette in the other. He's the guy who doesn't chase. He just stands there and they come running. Fast forward 17 years, and he's traded the party lights for a Harley's rumble, the wild nights for a steady gig fixing engines. He's got Sarah, his wife, arms wrapped around him as they tear down the highway, wind whipping past. That's the peak, her laughing into his shoulder, his world locked tight. It's golden, raw, real. You can smell the gasoline and feel the heat of her pressed against his back. That's Vince at his high, king of his own damn castle. But peaks don't last. There's a cliff coming, and it drops fast. Something's brewing. Her phone's buzzing too much, her excuses piling up like rust on a junkyard heap. Vince feels it in his gut, that old street instinct kicking in. He's been here before, back when he was the one breaking hearts, not the other way around. This time, though, it's his life on the line. 5 years of marriage, a home he built, a woman he thought was his forever. It's all teetering, ready to crash. And when it does, oh, bros, that's when the real Vince wakes up. The one who doesn't bend, doesn't break, just rises. Stick around, this ain't over yet. Vince wasn't born a king. He carved that crown out of the dirt with his bare hands. Rewind to the late 90s, small town nowhere, high school buzzing with hormones and cheap drama. He's 18, a wiry kid with a face like a war zone, acne scars pitting his cheeks, nose crooked from a fight he won't talk about. Not tall, not ripped, no chiseled jaw to write home about. On paper, he's average, maybe less. But catch him in the wild, and you'd swear he's 10 feet tall. It's not looks, it's the way he moves, talks, exists. Vince doesn't play the game, he owns it. Picture a Friday night, house party in some jock's basement. Music's thumping, Nirvana or some rap track, doesn't matter. The air's thick with smoke and spilled beer, kids yelling over each other, girls giggling in tight circles. Vince rolls in late, leather jacket scuffed from a tumble off his dirt bike, hair a mess, cigarette dangling from his lips. He's not there to impress. He's there because he felt like it. Leans against a beat-up Camaro parked out front, lights that smoke, and just waits. Doesn't say much, doesn't need to. 5 minutes in, a cheerleader, blonde, loud, the kind who owns the halls, struts up, all hips and attitude. "You're Vince, right?" she says, twirling her hair. He squints through the haze, takes a drag, lets the silence hang. "Yeah, you're not my type." Blows the smoke in her face, smirks. She's stunned, then laughs, begging for his number by midnight. That's Vince. Doesn't chase, doesn't grovel. They come to him. It's not magic, it's confidence. The kind you can't fake. He's not smooth, not a poet with pickup lines. He's blunt, rough, says what he thinks and doesn't care if it stings. "You're hot, but you talk too much," he tells a brunette at another party, and she's trailing him to the keg 10 minutes later. Girls don't get it, neither do the guys. The football studs with their Letterman jackets and perfect teeth, they're sweating to lock down a date. Vince? He's got 3 numbers scribbled on a napkin he won't even call. "Why you?" his buddy Mike asks one night, half drunk and jealous. Vince shrugs, kicks a rock down the street. "I don't need 'em. They feel that." No, that's the trick, the secret sauce. He's not starving for their approval. He's full already. And that hunger they've got, it pulls them in like gravity. Back then, he's a tornado. Parties every weekend, tearing through town on a junker bike he fixed himself. Skipping class, because who gives a crap about algebra? Fights, too. Not because he's mad, but because some punk steps up and Vince doesn't back down. Knuckles bloody, lip split, he's grinning through it. Cops know his name, teachers hate his guts. But the girls? They're passing notes about him in the halls. He's not the bad boy from some teen movie with a heart of gold. He's just Vince, living loud, free, no leash. Doesn't care about tomorrow, doesn't kiss ass to fit in. That's what makes him untouchable. There's this one girl, though, Sarah. Quiet, bookish, always got her nose in some novel. She's not his usual type, not loud or wild. Sits in the back of English class, watching him when he bothers to show up. He catches her staring once, those big eyes locked on him while he's doodling skulls on his desk. "What?" he grunts. She blushes, mumbles something about his jacket, scurries off. He laughs it off. Too tame, too soft. She's got a crush, sure. But he's not biting, not then. Sarah's a footnote in his chaos, a shadow in the rear view as he burns through his teens like a lit fuse. He's king of the streets, ruling a kingdom of asphalt and attitude. No clue she'll circle back years later to flip his world upside down. That's young Vince. Raw, reckless, magnetic. Not a Prince Charming, not a jock, just a dude who knows who he is and doesn't bend for anyone. It's the high before the fall, the peak before life throws its punches. And when it does, that same fire is going to carry him through the wreckage. But we're not there yet. This is where he starts. Unshakable, untamed, the guy every girl wants and every guy wants to be. Hold tight, bros. The ride's just getting started. Fast forward 12 years from the basement parties and cigarette haze. Vince is 30, still rough around the edges, still the guy who'd rather wrench on a carburetor than sit in an office. He's got a small garage now, a one-man operation fixing bikes and beaters, grease under his nails, and Rex snoring in the corner. The wild streaks simmered, not gone. Less fistfights, more late nights with a beer and the boys. He's not tamed, just focused. Then one night, he walks into a dive bar, sticky floors, neon buzzing, jukebox spitting out Springsteen, and there she is, Sarah, the quiet girl from English class, all grown up. She's not mousy anymore. Sharp cheekbones, dark hair pulled back, jeans hugging her just right. She's sipping a whiskey sour alone, flipping through a paperback at the bar. Vince clocks her from the door, that old smirk tugging his lips. He doesn't hesitate, strides over, drops onto the stool next to her like he owns the place. "You still into me or what?" No preamble, no games. She startles, looks up, and those big eyes lock on him again. Same blush as back then, but now there's a spark. "Maybe," she says, voice steady. He grins, game on. Courtship's quick and blunt. "I don't do flowers or that mushy crap," he tells her on their first date, a ride on his Harley to some hole-in-the-wall diner. "You're with me or you're not." She's in, hooked by the same rawness that had girls chasing him in high school. Sarah's different, though. She's not loud or clingy. She's got a quiet strength, a brain that keeps up with his mouth. 6 months later, they're hitched. Small ceremony, no fuss. Just the two of them and a couple witnesses at the courthouse. He slips a plain band on her finger. She smiles like he's the sun. And for a while, it's golden. First few years, solid. Vince is still Vince. Straight-talking, hard-edged, no filter. Works the garage, comes home to Sarah cooking something simple. Rex sprawled on the couch. They ride the Harley on weekends, her arms tight around his waist, wind tearing past. Nights end with her curled against him, his hand on her hip. No words needed. He's got rules, though, and she knows them from day one. "I don't chase," he says early on, voice like gravel. "You step up, or I walk. And if you let yourself go, get fat, get lazy, I'm out." Harsh, sure. But it's Vince. Standards high, no apologies. She nods, respects it, loves him for it. That's the deal. He's the prize, not the beggar. And for a while, she treats him like it. 5 years in, though, the cracks start. Subtle at first. Sarah's late from her office job, says it's paperwork. Her phone's buzzing more, screen flipped down on the table. Vince catches it, doesn't say much, but his gut's twitching, that old street instinct flaring. "You good?" he asks one night, leaning on the kitchen counter, beer in hand. She shrugs. "Yeah, just tired." He lets it slide, but the air's off. She's not laughing as much, not reaching for him like before. He's pacing the garage late, Rex growling at nothing, tools clanging louder than they need to. Doubt creeps in, a slow burn in his chest. Am I slipping? She testing me? He hates it, feels like a punk again, second-guessing himself. But he buries it, clings to the ghost of what they had. Then the bomb drops. It's a Tuesday, rain hammering the roof. He's home early, Sarah's not back yet. Her phone's on the counter, forgot it in her rush out the door. It buzzes, lights up. Vince glances, then freezes. Text from Mark, work. "He's boring now, you're too good for that." Another. "Last night was fun." "More soon?" His blood turns to ice, then fire. He scrolls. Days of this crap. "Vince doesn't get me," she wrote. "You're funnier than him," Mark replies. Then the gut punch. Bank app pings on his phone. $500 gone. New clothes, she said. Except he finds receipts in her purse. Bar tabs, late night dinners, not a damn dress in sight. She's funneling his cash to this clown. She walks in an hour later, soaked, fake smile plastered on. Vince is waiting, phone in one hand, receipt in the other. "Explain this crap," he growls, voice low, dangerous. She freezes, eyes darting. It's not what you think, she starts. He cuts her off, steps closer. Don't lie to me. Who's Mark? Her face crumples, then hardens. He's just a friend, she snaps, but the edge in her voice betrays her. You're boring now, Vince. I deserve better. The words hit like a sledgehammer, 5 years torched in a sentence. His world tilts, vision red. Better? He echoes, voice cracking. I've been breaking my back for us, and you're out playing with some punk on my dime? Rage floods him, fists balled, shaking, heart a war drum. 6 years ago, he'd have smashed something, walked out, burned it all down. Now, he's one breath from it. Sarah sneers, doubles down. You're not who you were. I need more. It's a knife twist. He's not enough. Not anymore. The garage, the bike, the life he built, it's ash in her eyes. He's staring at her, this woman he loved, and all he sees is a stranger. 5 years of trust, loyalty, gone. He's not just mad, he's gutted, raw, a man watching his castle crumble. But under that, something's waking up. The old Vince, the one who doesn't bend, doesn't break. She's about to find out what happens when you push him too far. The air's thick, rain still pounding the roof. Sarah's words, "You're not who you were," ringing in Vince's ears like a gunshot. He's standing there, fists clenched, her phone glowing with betrayal on the counter. 5 years of marriage, his sweat, his grind, all funneled into some punk's bar tab. She's staring at him, defiant, waiting for him to crack. But something shifts. The old Vince, the one who ruled the streets, who didn't bend for anyone, snaps awake. His voice drops, dead calm, steel in every word. Get out! No yell, no plea, just a line in the sand. She blinks, mouth opening to argue, but he's already moving. Grabs her coat, her purse, tosses them toward the door. Now, she stammers. You can't just... He cuts her off, steps close, eyes burning. Locks change by morning. Take your crap and go. It's not a fight. It's a guillotine. She scrambles, grabs what she can, stumbles out into the storm. Door slams, deadbolt clicks, and it's done. 5 years, torched. Vince stands there, chest heaving, Rex whining at his feet. The silence hits hard. House empty, her ghost everywhere. But under the ache, there's fire. Boring? Weak? He mutters to himself, jaw tight. Watch this. Her venom doesn't break him. It fuels him. Next morning, he's a machine. Calls the bank, freezes the joint account, her cards bounce by noon. She's cut off, no lifeline. Finds a box of her junk, perfume, earrings, a scarf, hauls it to a pawn shop. $50 in his pocket, buys Rex a rawhide bone and a steak for himself. No wallowing, no whiskey-soaked pity party. He's done bleeding for her. That night, he's in the garage, tools clanging, tearing apart a busted Harley. Sweat drips, muscles flex. He's not thinking, just moving. It's step one, rebuild something, anything, starting with what he knows. 5 a.m. the next day, he's at the gym. Not some fancy chain with smoothie bars, old school, iron and rust, the kind of place that smells like effort. He's no stranger to lifting, but this is different. This is war. Bench press, deadlifts, pull-ups, grunts echo, plates crash. 20 pounds of fat from the soft years melt off fast, swapped for lean muscle. Scars on his knuckles stand out sharper now, face harder, eyes meaner. Guys nod at him, sensing the shift. He's not just getting fit. He's carving himself back into the man he was, the one Sarah forgot. You're boring now, she said. He smirks mid-rep, sweat stinging. She's about to eat those words. Garage turns into a gold mine. He's always been good with engines. Now he's hungry. Starts a side hustle fixing bikes for cash. Word spreads. Vince is the guy who will resurrect your ride. No BS, no overcharge. Customers roll in, money stacks. Nights with the boys, shift 2. Used to be he'd sit quiet, half there, Sarah's shadow on his mind. Now, he's the one cracking jokes, buying rounds, king of the table. They toast him. Good to have you back, man. He doesn't say it, but he feels it. He's not just back. He's better. Then the twist. Sarah's funny guy, Mark. Vince digs a little, old habits from the street days. Turns out Mark's a small-time hustler running fake checks, scamming suckers. Vince doesn't hesitate, drops an anonymous tip to the cops. 2 days later, squad cars hit Mark's apartment. He's cuffed, hauled off, whining about a misunderstanding. Sarah's collateral damage, alone, broke, no sugar daddy to lean on. Her texts start trickling in. I messed up, Vince. Well, can we talk? He reads one, deletes it mid-sentence, tosses the phone aside. No reply, no mercy. She's dust. He's steel. Weeks turn to months, and Vince 2.0 is untouchable. Body's ripped, shirt stretches over shoulders that could carry a damn car. Garage hums, cash flows. Rex rides shotgun on the Harley again. Women notice. Baristas linger with his coffee. A chick at the gym asks for a spot. He smirks, nods, keeps it moving. Doesn't need him. Same as always. Sarah's voicemails pile up. I was wrong. I miss you. He listens to one, hears her sob, deletes it, tosses Rex a ball, revs the bike, peels out. She's begging for scraps. He's feasting on freedom. This isn't revenge. It's rebirth. Sarah respected him once because he had standards, lines she couldn't cross. She forgot, thought she could play him soft. Big mistake. He didn't bend for her, didn't grovel. He broke the trap. That's the core of it. He's the prize, always was. Back in the day, girls chased him because he didn't need them. Now, same deal. He's Vince. Rough, real, unshakable. She pushed. He pushed back harder and won. One night, he's on the highway, wind ripping past, Rex's ears flapping in the sidecar. No chains, no ghosts, just a man and his dog ruling the road. That's the rise, bros. That's the fire. Vince stands tall now, a king forged in the wreckage. Garage is thriving. Bikes lined up, tools humming, cash piling in a lockbox under the bench. He's ripped, shirt stretched tight over shoulders carved from iron, veins popping like he's ready to tear the world apart. Rex rides shotgun on the Harley, ears flapping as they rip down the highway, wind cutting through the night. No chains, no shadows, just a man who took a hit, spat blood, and came back stronger. This is Vince 2.0, untouchable, living free. The old life, ashes. The new one, steel. Sarah's a ghost now. Broke, dumped, scrambling. Mark's locked up. Vince is tipped to the cops, sealed that cage tight. Checkmate, no sweat. She's texting, calling, leaving voicemails that crack with desperation. I messed up, Vince. I need you. He listens to one, her voice shaking, begging for a scrap of what she torched. Deletes it mid-sob, doesn't blink. She's texting from a burner now. Her fancy phone's long gone, repoed with the rest of her life. He doesn't reply, doesn't care. She's dust in the rear view, a lesson learned, not a regret. Last he heard, she's crashing on a friend's couch, whining about how it all fell apart. Vince smirks when the boys bring it up over beers. She fell, I rose. The twist seals it. Mark's bust wasn't just luck. Vince played it cold, calculated, dropped the dime, watched the dominoes fall, didn't need to throw a punch or raise his voice, just let the punk's own game bury him. Sarah's collateral damage, left holding nothing. She thought she could trade up, cash out on Vince's grind. Big mistake. He's the prize, not her ATM, and she learned that the hard way. Now he's rolling through town, Harley growling, women turning heads. He nods, keeps moving. Doesn't need him, never did. That's the glow that pulls him in, same as it did back in the day. Here's the truth, bros, the core of it all. Women don't love doormats. They crave men who stand tall, who own their ground. Vince didn't grovel when Sarah swung the knife. He cut her loose and built a fortress. Confidence isn't a pretty face or a fat wallet. It's knowing you don't need her to shine. He never did. Not at 18 with a cigarette and a smirk. Not now with a bike and a bankroll. Marriage works when you're the prize, not the servant. Sarah loved him once because he had lines, standards she couldn't cross, rules he wouldn't bend. She forgot that, thought she could play him soft. He reminded her, you don't tame a man like Vince. You respect him or you lose him. Take it home, fellas. Set your lines, hold them tight, walk if they're crossed. You're not her fix, her punching bag, her safety net. You're the fire. Vince turned rust to steel, flipped the script, and left Sarah choking on the dust. She's yesterday, he's tomorrow. Some dudes fold under the weight, cry, beg, chase what's gone. Not Vince. He's a legend now, not because he won her back, but because he won himself back. That's the game, the real alpha move. You don't bend, you break the trap and rise alone. Salute to Vince, bros. He took the hit, turned ashes to iron, and rode out on top. That's the story. No sequels, just an ending that sticks. Liked this? Smash that thumbs up, sub to the channel, hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment, tell me your take. What hit you hardest? Stay real out there, fam. This is Alpha Talk, signing off. Keep your edge sharp.